Good afternoon. The Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys.
Present.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Present.
Alderwoman Sanye. Alderman Aldred.
Present.
Chair Narayan.
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. We have 6 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. A quorum being present, we can proceed. At this point, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, June 27th, 2024.
Second.
All right. Alderwoman Saunier made a motion. Alderman Aldridge seconded it to approve the minutes. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye. Aye. Alderman Aldred.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes.
All right. With that, we've sustained the motion and approved the minutes. At this point, we'll take up committee discussion item number 1, the mayoral appointees to the Detention Facilities Oversight Board. Do we have Osmain Malik Gay and Kanika Harper here?
Uzma's online.
Yes, I'm on Zoom.
All right, great. Then we'll start with, could you turn your camera on?
Yep.
There we go. So we'll start with you then. Could you just briefly tell the committee, well, I guess first, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
Yes.
All right. And yeah, if you could just tell the committee a little bit about your interest in this position, and then we'll open it up for any questions from committee members.
Of course. Thank you all for having me. My name is Usman Gay. I live here in the city of St. Louis and have lived here for the past 6 years. And I was really particularly interested in serving on the Detention Facilities Oversight Board to get a better understanding of the ways in which this system works within the context of St. Louis. My background is in community engagement and architecture, and as an extension of that is really understanding the ways in which the municipal government is in conversation with folks, and really wanting to get a better understanding of the ways in which the Division of Corrections is able to help facilitate rehabilitation for folks that are interested once they're out and becoming full-fledged members of society. And so wanting to really understand and answer a lot of questions there, and also be of service to the city of St. Louis.
Great. I will open it up to committee members for any questions. Alderman Oldenburg, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right. Alderwoman Keys.
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Saunier.
I just wanted to thank you for your interest in serving. I did have the chance to kind of look through your resume, and I found, I think particularly kind of your cultural arts experience to be very unique and something that I think could be of a benefit, but just thank you for your interest in serving.
Of course, thank you. And that's definitely an aspect I think that I love the way in which arts and culture are really able to bridge a lot of conversations that are quite difficult in my history and my experience. It's able to open up a lot of really, really tight and personal conversations. So I definitely think that perspective will be of value as well.
Alderman Aldridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you, Uzma, for wanting to be on this committee. I know the great work when you talk about arts that you do at the Griot Museum and an advocate that you've been in the community. I think you are going to make a great addition to the DFOB board, so thank you for applying.
Thank you.
All right, just a couple of quick questions from me. Do you serve on any other boards with the city?
I do not.
Okay. And if you become a member of this board, do you think that you'll be able to, in any given matter, look at the facts in front of you and come to an impartial conclusion based on that and not any preconceived notions or biases?
Yes, I think in my work in the past, in terms of always coming to a consensus, being unbiased as much as possible. Obviously, we're human, but understanding the facts as they stand is key, I think, to anyone, and also understanding that all the folks that we are dealing with are human beings, and so they deserve our respect and as well acknowledgement of what they might be going through.
All right. Well, that's all that I have. At this point, I will entertain a motion to pass Mr. Gay out to the full board with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
All right. It's been moved by Alderwoman Velasquez, seconded by Alderman Aldridge. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Alderman Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. We have 6 aye votes.
All right. With that, we have passed you for consideration to the full board at tomorrow's meeting, and hopefully from there you'll get confirmed and start your work.
Thank you all so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate and excited at the opportunity to be able to do this type of work.
And thank you for your service. And
Thank you.
with that, we will take up Kanika Harper.
Not seeing Miss Kanika. No, I'm not showing her.
Okay, then we will hold Miss Harper for the next meeting, just to make sure that individuals have a chance to ask any questions that they may want, or if she pops up later on during the hearing here, we can take that up then.
Why is he on the meeting?
Sure, please proceed.
I guess could we see if any members, unless you have questions, Mr. Chair, have questions for her? I know we got her resume. I would be fine with moving forward. I know other, sometimes committees have appointments where they don't show, like in HUDs, and they just take them.
If the committee overall is open to that, I'm open to it. We do have her resume. If the committee feels like that's an appropriate vetting, I'm certainly
I'm
opposed to
opposed.
that. Okay.
I'd really like to hear from him.
I would like to hear from her.
All right. Well, then, with that, I think that, yeah, we have several members of the committee who would like to hear from Ms. Harper and ask her questions. So I think, I think it's probably prudent to hold for now. Then, with that, we're going to take a brief recess here for a.
Chair Narayan, I'm not sure if you were taking public comment on the
Oh, yes.
appointees.
Sure. Do we have
Mr.
Oh.
Reverend Darrell.
Reverend Gray? I didn't see your hand up there. I apologize.
That's perfectly right person. Do I need to be sworn in?
Yes. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
Okay, yeah. Yes, I do. First of all, I wanted to just come before you as the chair of the Detention Facility and Oversight Board. I appreciate the quickness in which the committee has brought these names before your body. As I indicated in my previous discussion, we have 5 board members currently. Our quorum is 5. I have been reluctant as chairperson to call a meeting of the board because I don't want to call a meeting knowing that my quorum is 5 and something happens unexpectedly and I have 4 people there and I've wasted people's times. And so the expediency, the diligence, first of all, coupled with the expediency of moving forward is going to be extremely helpful to us. I do understand Alderwoman Keys and others wanting to look the candidates in the eye. I appreciate that. I would ask on behalf of the board that whoever is supposed to reach out to this candidate, make sure that they're there because, as I said, without really 7 board members, our maximum is 9. If these 2 are confirmed, then we'll have 7. That's a workable number for us. But without that, it does put our committee in a bind. And so I just wanted to say that. I do apologize that my phone is, my pitch is going up and down. I'm trying not to look at you actually because I'm looking at the road. So anyway, with that, I want to thank you for what you've done today, but hope that that second candidate can be communicated with and meet with your board just as soon as possible so that we can move forward to do the work of the DFOB. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend. I just got a text saying that Ms. Harper was logging on, as well as Alderwoman Clark Hubbard was trying to log on, and she was having some difficulty. Do we have either of them in the Zoom now?
No, I'm not showing Clark Hubbard or Ms. Kanika. Not as of yet.
Okay, then what we're going to do, we will take Ms. Harper up a little bit later if she's on, because I know that we have Mr. Pinckney here, and I know that he has a 3 o'clock meeting. So I wanted to make sure if anyone had any questions regarding Prop S that he was available to discuss them. So we're going to move to item number 2 on our committee discussion. Item number 2 right now, which is Prop S funding. In the drive, you should have the rankings of the various entities, I believe 33 entities that applied for funding, as well as what their ask was. Unfortunately, as is often the case, we have more people asking for funds than we have available funds, so we're going to have to make some decisions today on the actual allocation of those funds. But I wanted to make sure that anyone who had any questions for Mr. Pinckney before we got into that process would be able to ask them. So with that, I will just turn it over to the committee for any questions that they may have of Mr. Pinckney. Alderman Oldenburg, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Great. I was going through the spreadsheet that had the rankings, but I couldn't follow based on the amount of Prop S proceeds that are given and that the independent report suggests. How many of those are eligible funding? Is it the top 10? Is it all of those in that ranking? I couldn't quite follow that report definitively.
Sure. Good afternoon, by the way.
Same to you.
So, that ranking was put together by a third-party review, the Violence Prevention Commission, to engage community reviewers. So I would say they're all eligible. It is up to, obviously, this subcommittee to make a determination around who gets funded. I don't know if it was shared, but we are currently now in fiscal year 25. We did not utilize any of the Prop S funds that were available in fiscal year 24, so my office worked with the comptroller to move those funds into the current fiscal year. So there's more than the usual amount available, bless you, right now. So yes, this board will determine who and how much. I will say that given the number of contracts we deal with and the number of staff we have to manage contracts, we would ask that you limit the number of awards this year. I'd say to somewhere between 12 and 15. You may do that anyway because you're going to decide how much each organization gets. So hopefully, Alderman, I've answered your question.
You did. Thank you, Mr. Pinckney.
Any further questions, Alderman?
None for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Is Alderwoman Clark Hubbard on at this point?
No, I'm not showing Ms. Clark Hubbard.
Okay. Alderwoman Keys.
Thank you, Mr. Pinckney, for being here today. I do not have any questions.
Good afternoon to you, too.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Thank you, Mr. Pinckney. I have no questions.
Alderwoman Saunier.
Hi, Mr. Pinckney.
Good afternoon.
This is a follow-up question because I know we kind of had some conversations prior. I was just curious. I saw that some of the evaluation includes things like record of time that you've been delivering successful services, experience applying to work. When you guys are analyzing the projects, did you feel like that might have impacted smaller level organizations at all? Or did you feel like your criteria allowed for both larger and smaller organizations to have an equal opportunity to receive funds?
Okay, sure. And good afternoon. So my office personally didn't, I just want to make sure it's clear, we don't evaluate. It was a third-party reviewer that did, but we obviously worked with this body to set up the RFP. And to your question, we did want to make sure, and I think it's really important to make organizations of all sizes have an opportunity for this funding. So I do believe, and that's why some of those questions about track record and about, connection to community and about, serving, experience serving, Black and brown individuals. I think all of those things are important and help weigh out, the advantages larger organization may have.
Thank you.
Alderman Aldridge.
How you doing, Director?
Director's fine.
Okay, Director. Thank you for being here. Since I know you didn't really do the evaluations, it may be hard to answer. As I'm just going through the spreadsheet, I know some organizations provided more information than others around like their targeted program participation or targeted neighborhoods that they would serve. Is there a reason why some of those didn't really lay out what their program are or what neighborhoods they would be targeting this work in?
Yeah, and I think this goes to, because there was a scoring matrix that third-party reviewer used and shared with. There was a training done for the community reviewers, all of those points around the scoring. And so that's why you're going to see some people ranked higher because maybe they left out information. They didn't address all that was in the directions for the narrative. And obviously that's going to be up to you as a body. The community reviews are just a piece of the decision making.
Correct.
So, taking into account what they shared and then what you're observing, I think is important. So yes, if people left things out and it's germane to the understanding their connection to a community or their ability to deliver the work, I think that's going to be.
Gotcha. There's just several, if we go by, like you said, at least the top 15 that are ranked that have left out information, but somehow they got in the top. So that's why I was curious. I see several that really explain their program and areas that they would be doing it in. And then like number one, Big Brothers Big Sister, we all know them, but they didn't talk about like their targeted program. Or number two, Throwing and Growing Foundation, like what that program will be. They did mention the targeted neighborhood, but we're just curious of, with the lack of information, some of these ranked very high and the ones that are below 15 provided information and didn't rank there. So I was just curious of how that happened.
So I would say you'd have to look at the matrix and maybe the areas that are scored the highest weren't related to that specifically. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I would say that's probably part of the reason.
Gotcha.
I don't know. If you're looking at the matrix, I say you should probably look at the actual proposal, because maybe there's information that was in the proposal that didn't get added to the matrix. So I didn't look at the matrix. Once again, that was created by the other entity.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And I just want to thank you for being here. I don't have any questions. I think we've talked, it has to be hours on this topic now. So I think I have a good, healthy understanding of what we're doing. I just wanted to make sure that if we had any last minute questions as we go into the subcommittee to hopefully fund some of these organizations, that my colleagues would be able to bounce things off you. And I thank you for being here.
Okay. One thing I will share, just as you're thinking about the organization funding amount, obviously we're talking about a short period of time in which organizations are funded to do the work, whoever is awarded. So I would say, take into account, how much funding is going to allow them to really do the work and to be able to show some impact. Because sometimes, especially for small organizations, if they don't get enough funding, it limits how much they can do. So it'll be up to you. I think we put a cap on of $100,000 maybe on the awards. But I would, as you're looking through, I would take that into account, because small organizations are going to need more to make it run.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right. Now, at this point, we are going to recess from public safety and go into the Prop S subcommittee. Lucky for us, it's all the same individuals doing the same things. So with that, we will be in recess. When we come out of the subcommittee, we will then, the hope is to pass this funding from the subcommittee to the committee, and then we're going to hopefully pass it from, I'm sorry?
Mika Harper just got on.
Oh, great. So then before we actually stand in recess, we will take up Ms. Harper's appointment. Ms. Harper, could you please turn your camera on? All right. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
I do.
All right. And could you just briefly explain your interest in the DFOB?
Okay. Well, currently what I do is I work with an organization where we try to do basically the same things, help those without a voice, or who doesn't have the platform to have a voice, who are unjustly done by the criminal justice system. So my interest is to do that within my city, because most of the institutions in which we work in are further out, more so in rural Missouri, in the prisons and things of that nature. So along with helping, abroad, then within is more ideal.
Understood. I'm going to open it up to the committee for any questions that they may have of you. Alderman Oldenburg, do you have any questions for Ms. Harper?
I don't. Thank you, Ms. Harper, for your interest and your commitment.
Do appreciate it.
And Alderwoman Keys, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, Ms. Harper, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us more about the organization that you're currently working with?
Yes, currently I'm with Justice for All, and it is an advocacy activist organization to where we help those in the criminal justice system who have been unjustly done. We also work with the families as well, in the aid of them for their loved ones, and that's from anything from transportation so that they can make their visits on the weekends and things of that nature, because it is important for people who are incarcerated to be in a healthy mindset, and being close to those who, love and support them is one of the avenues in which we use our platform to help in. amongst other things. Currently, we are also breaking out into the youth era. We have an event that's coming up for kids ages 4 to 15. It is called Future Leaders of the LOU, LOU. It is a youth vendor event for all children who are within that age bracket to venture off into entrepreneurship. We will help them if they have not done so as of yet, but we're trying to curb mass incarceration. And what we're doing is doing that with children who are younger. There are a lot of programs who advocate and help those who are, 16, 18 years of age. But we are knowledgeable as to your core personality is set basically by the time you're 11. So we're trying to grab those children who are younger before they're in, juvenile system and things of that nature, and just curb that ball a little bit there. Let's see, what else do we do? We also, amongst other things, we have a notary. We do ceremonies within the DOC for inmates and their loved ones who are looking to wed, when they do that twice a year. We have that as well. So we're trying to touch up on multiple, things in which family members and their loved ones need within the DOC. We work with multiple other organizations, MADP, Mo Justice Coalition, just to name a few, MCU, in aid of whatever they're doing. Again, it's all prison reform and prevention.
Thank you so much for speaking in depth about your work experience. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Anything further, Alderwoman Keys?
No, I yield. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Alderwoman Velasquez.
I have no questions. Thank you for your interest and dedication to the city.
Appreciate your time.
Alderwoman Saunier.
Thank you. My first question was just, and maybe I just missed it. What ward do you reside in?
I am in Ward 13.
Thank you. And then the only other thing is, I know you talked about your work with Justice for All, but when I looked through your resume, it looks like you also spent some time as a pediatric nurse, and that you've also spent time as a substance abuse counselor and other behavioral health roles. So in addition to the work that I know you spoke of that you're doing now, I just wanted to put that on record for my colleagues in case they hadn't had a chance to look, that I think the background and experience there will also be of added benefit to the board. Thank you.
Yes, and just a correction, it's not pediatrics. I work in psychiatrics, but not with peds. I did do geriatrics and, but not peds.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Aldridge.
No questions. Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Appreciate you.
And I have just a couple of questions, the same that I've asked basically every one of these roles. Do you serve now, or have you served on any other boards with the city before?
I have not.
Okay. And do you think that you'll be able to, in any given matter, take the facts that come before you and make a determination based on those facts in an unbiased fashion?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all I have. At this point, I will entertain a motion to pass Ms. Kanika Harper to the full Board of Aldermen with a do pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second, previous row.
It's been moved by by Alderwoman Saunier, seconded by Alderman Aldridge, and there's been a request for previous roll. Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, that motion is sustained, and you will move to the full Board of Aldermen for consideration tomorrow. You don't need to appear there or anything, and then after that vote, assuming that it goes in your favor, they'll be reaching out to you about starting your service. And thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, now we will go into recess so that we can move over to the Prop S Subcommittee. So let's see. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll on the Prop S Subcommittee?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys.
Present.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Present.
Alderwoman Sanier.
Present.
Alderman Aldrich.
Present.
Chair Narayan.
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. We have 6 present.
All right. With that, we have a
Quorum.
quorum for the subcommittee here. We have one item on our agenda, and that's how to divvy these funds between these 33 entities have applied for them. We have both on the drive, and I believe each alderman here in person has in front of them the ranking. We had all initially voted to have a third party rank these applications based on the matrix from the RFQs. We now have that in front of us, along with the funding requests, and we can begin the discussion on how to allocate these. It's $1 million total, as I noted previously. We certainly have more funding requests than we have funds. And with that, I'll open it up for discussion. And just as a reminder, since this is the subcommittee, it is less formal, I'll say. So I'll just open it up for anyone who wants to jump in and speak. I will note that Mr. Pinckney did request that we keep the total organizations that we fund to 10 to 12 organizations, just for the management of those contracts. I'm willing to be wrong there. I'm not sure. So, yeah, I mean, let's just dive in. I know that there were several people who came and supported the Science Center, which is further down the list, but I know that there's.
What number are they?
They are 23. And I'm open to taking this up in whatever way people would like to. We can go through and determine, 1, 2, 3, 4, how we're going to allocate the funds, or we can have discussions on each individual organization. We can have a discussion starting from the $1 million and then divvying that out. However we want to do this. And to anyone watching out there, this is what happened behind closed doors in years past. That's why this seems like we're making it up as we go. It's because we very much are. These funds have not been. There hasn't been a decision yet made on how to allocate funds, but I thought, and members of the committee thought in the past, that it was problematic that the decision-making all happened behind closed doors. So we decided to shed a little bit of light on it, and now you get to see, I guess, how the process works.
So the question is, do we only have $1 million that we can allocate? Because I see on the document, and I guess I don't know if the total request was all of them, but then I see top 15 is about 1.1 million, and then the top 20 about 1.5. So I wasn't.
Yeah, there's $1 million total. The ordinance, that was passed by Clerk Kennedy back in 2007 sets aside, if you look at section 1, subsection 5, it's $1 million of sales tax that's set aside for these crime prevention programs.
But are we in 2 fiscal years though, Mr. Chairman? Didn't Mr. Pinckney mention we did not spend last year's, or did I misunderstand him?
I believe the Board of ENA reallocated some of those funds.
That makes sense. Okay. Yep. Gotcha. Okay. So it is a finite number. We have the million to kind of proceed with. I've always been of the opinion, and Mr. Chairman, for what it's worth, believing in the third party that sort of ranks the application process and does it in an objective, sort of professional way. But I'm open to hearing from the committee on, if there are others that are, that they think may be worthy to have those conversations and swap, in or out. But I think funding sort of is, the top, it'd be nice to probably get this, what did he say, 10 or 12, 10 to 15, 12 to 15 organizations. If we can sort of figure around that range, I think that's a prudent way to proceed. I mean, I don't know if it's as simple as just saying, okay, here are the top 15 here, but then we're going to have to skinny the requested funding number down so the arithmetic works, right?
Go ahead.
I like Alderman Oldenburg's idea. I guess I'm also curious because some of you have maybe done this before or been a part of this process before. So I just would be curious about if there's any places that you all know of that maybe didn't make the top list but have received the funds before and are relying on them. That would be my only flag with doing it by just taking the top 15. I just wonder if there's anybody that has been receiving a fund, especially because the process has just been so delayed that I know folks are waiting right now and have been in limbo. So I'm just wondering if you guys are aware of any organizations on the list that might not have making a top list, but that have received funds before and do good work.
So there are several that are lower on the list here that I know that we've dealt with in the past. Gene Slay's Boys and Girls Club.
Communities First, I think was one in the past.
Then also the Roosevelt, the after-school programs at Roosevelt High. So I just did a little bit of quick math here. If we fully funded the top 10 scoring organizations, we would spend $820,614. And that would be to fully fund the top 10. So then I know in the past that I've heard anecdotally at least that the Roosevelt High after school programs, you get a lot of bang for your buck there basically. And they're seeking $52,000, so they're not seeking the full $100,000. That may be something that we may want to consider, even though it's ranked a little bit lower because they already have access to. You're not reinventing the wheel. Kids are going to school there, and these are after school programs. So that's just my thought there.
if I wouldn't be opposed to moving Roosevelt up, I would also, since the top 10, we would have some funds. I would also ask that potentially, I know they got funding in the past, Employment Connection is not asking for the full amount either. They do great work in Dutchtown when it comes to, oh, my computer went out, somebody's calling me. Secondary, giving people second chances that have been in and out of the criminal justice system. They help with wraparound services as far as skill building. They help with job readiness and wouldn't mind them being moved up if that is with the top 10 still having some funds left.
If we did the top 10, if we fully funded the top 10 scorers, then did Roosevelt and Employment Connections, that takes us to $932,640. So there's still a little bit of room to play if we were to do that.
Can we do, I'm just looking at it, can we do like number 11? Well, we have 11 here, that's 44, and 12, that's 55. I know that's 90 and not 70, but could we just go and like add those and then add the
sure and
ones closer to?
We can also, we don't have to fully fund everything. So, we could say, say the Village Path. We could say you asked for $100,000. We're going to give you $90,000. That's
well. How much over are we? And I like Alderwoman Leska's suggestion there. How much over are we if we grab 11 and 12 and added?
Like 20,000.
Let me do the math here real quick.
Then maybe just divide that over all of them, Alderman, and you get like 4,000 short of your requested then.
Because what I just want to say, what I hate to do is I see one, that I like on here because I used to power lift and I like, I like that, but I hate to just choose. I'd much rather stick to close to the rankings as possible instead of just sort of cherry picking, or at least looking at the ones that I know best because they had a method and what I like best is not that method.
And also take note that on the rankings here, if you're just looking at the spreadsheet, that we have both a 3 and a 3A. So 10, our 10th number is really 9, if we're looking at the top 10.
I don't know how this folds in. I just wanted to uplift one that I am not extremely familiar, but I do like everything they've submitted. 21, Mars Goodwill has a juvenile transition program that focuses on youth who have been members of gangs and actively involved in violence, who have carried or had access to lethal weapons, who've been exposed to gun violence, or who have been in foster care. Just lifting that up as something that I would like folks to look at, but I also don't disagree with any of the methods that we've discussed. It just looks like there looks like some good needed work.
Yeah.
Are you talking about 21, sorry? What was the name? Yeah.
For committee members online, Chair Narayan is currently being a mathematician and doing some. Give an accountant.
Okay, so the initial math was because I did not take into account that we had that 3A. I was just adding up until I got to 10. So the top 10, if we were actually going to fund the top 10, it would start at Big Brothers, Big Sisters. The top 10 would end at St. Louis Story Stitchers, and that would put us at $749,869. So that'd be about almost right on the dot of 3/4 of the funding to do the top 10.
And then are you adding
Then-
Roosevelt and Employment Connection?
I haven't put anything else, just the top 10
Well,
adds to that 749. So if we were gonna add Roosevelt Employment Connections, we certainly can. I just wanted to state where we were with the top 10, since I had thrown out a bad number first.
But if we pull in 10 and 11, that adds another, what, 115?
So yeah, if we add Mission St. Louis,
Adds another
and
114,860 more.
then Gateway Regional YMCA, that puts us at 864,730.
And then
Okay, so then
I'm sorry, I may not be looking at the same screen or paperwork that you all are looking at. I am looking here for Communities First, which does a lot of work in the North Side community.
what number is that, Alderwoman?
Again, I'm looking at a different screen here. Let me scroll down.
Oh, it's 30. It's 30.
Oh, it's number 30. Okay.
But that's
I see
okay.
it. Yes.
If we do
64,730, that takes us through.
how much is Roosevelt? So the 864,000 number, that was the top, if you take all 12?
Yeah, that's if you take everything from Big Brothers Big Sisters all the way down through Gateway Regional YMCA.
Okay.
You get $864,730.
Roosevelt, and how, we're trying to get to $1 million?
Yes,
1,154,000 or?
1 million on the dot.
Okay.
Price is Right rules.
So then, if you add the two that previously discussed, what do we?
I'm doing it now. 1 second. We're
Oh,
doing it
okay.
now.
Yeah, if we add Roosevelt,
52,000.
52,000, and then
Employment Connection, you get
what?
976,
Connection
22.
22.
It is 60,000.
Yeah, it's 60,000. So then if you add those two, that puts you at 976. And then Communities First is how much?
Communities
Community
First.
First
66,000 is what they're requesting.
66,000.
Well,
So what if we?
fund the rest.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if Tom can come up with some quick math here because he's one of the fancy accountants. What would be the best way to kind of knock off the top to get Communities First also in there?
Yeah, well, if you add them, what are we over? Are we just
So
barely over?
add that.
It would only
976,750 with the top 12 plus Roosevelt plus employment connections.
and if you minus that,
So
We're over $43,185.
if you just take $1 million minus that 900, you get 23,000 270 that would be left that could go to Communities First.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Alderman Aldridge.
Well, what here's my thing is that, as Mr. Pinckney said, a lot of these organizations, they've been around, they're well established, they have many other funding sources. I am more of, let's take care of what's closer to communities that really need services. And not that all of these, I'm not saying in any way that these other organizations don't need support, but I am saying that I am aware of organizations like STL Artworks, Story Stitchers, Pianos for People, Big Brothers Big Sisters, but also Communities First is an organization that they do a lot of good work, and I've assisted them with a lot of the work that they have done to help to bring resources to them so that they could work directly in North City communities. And I would like to advocate for them, knowing firsthand the work that they and other organizations do to support this side of the city.
I would say my suggestion, in agreement with Alderwoman Keys, would be that I do see that the YMCA is one of the organizations, and I think they might be an organization that does have multiple streams. And also, we're about 43,000 over budget, and their ask is for 44,116, and they're number 11 on the list. So perhaps we cut out Gateway Regional YMCA item number 11 and add Community First item number 30, and that would put us very near where we need to be.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, some of these organizations, they're getting the full ride. Could we take, 10 grand? I don't want to cut somebody completely out, but I do want to make sure that, and like I said, all of these, this is tough. This is tough work. All of these organizations bring special things to us as a city. And we want all of them naturally to feel supported. But I just would hope that maybe we could shave a little bit from some of those organizations that we know have tremendous support and give it to some of our smaller organizations.
Honestly, I really like the idea of what Alderwoman Sonye said. I mean, if you look at YMCA, we all love them. Bigger funding streams they may have. Big Brothers Big Sisters ask for 75 to have bigger funding streams. I agree with Alderwoman Keys. I directly know, and that's the thing. I know we don't want to cherry pick, but it's one thing when we know the organizations that are like boots on the ground. Community First is one of those that are boots on the ground, directly doing the work in the community. A smaller organization that does not have as much maybe staff or support to be able to go out for these big,
all of that.
for these big grants that maybe like Big Brothers or the YMCA has. So I mean, I appreciate this process because it gives us a different look and where we're not picking, but we also know that there are small orgs that really could benefit from, this 1 million compared to Big Brothers Big Sisters. They have big, large fundraisers down, and I support them, down at Busch Stadium, the Rock, Paper, Scissors, where they bringing in corporations that are, bringing in millions of dollars to support their organization. So again, to Alderwoman Sonye's point, I would not be opposed to knock off, but move Communities First to 11 and fully take away that 44. We already was over like 20 something. So that would put us at that 1 million by moving Communities First up to 11 on top of Roosevelt and Employment Connections.
I just want to say, I do appreciate this discussion. And I know that we all have organizations that we're close to. I just want to reiterate, I think there was a process, there was a methodology. I think we all have things that are close to our heart. But I do think it's important for us to, and I do like the idea that we know organizations that are that are better funded, although they would probably disagree with with some of that, because raising money in this climate is difficult for every, I think, charitable organization. But that we're making a decision based off of a methodology and a process, and not just because we know that they do good work. Because that may be true, and I mean, it's very much just choosing things because we like them. And there is a methodology that's been done, and I think it's important for us to try and be unbiased in our process, especially when folks have gone through and tried to attach, again, a methodology to it.
And for clarity for individuals and members who've been here longer than myself, Velasquez, or Sanye, this is the first time we've done it this way. I think per ordinance, and I know I talked with the clerk about the way that we're doing it isn't really falling in line with like the ordinance that is written, but the way that we're doing it this go round, this process is something new historically from what has been done. I know you say closed doors. I'm glad that it's not closed doors and that there's a process, but I think us also advocating for organizations in a public way is not a outside of having a rubric and people put work in to score isn't bad to still say thank you for like the work of it. But, you know, again, we are the ones that are in these neighborhoods that know what these communities, these organizations are doing. And maybe, I mean, it's like high school when you take some people are good at testing and some people aren't, but that didn't mean that they wasn't like a high caliber of a student. And I think I'm glad we have this process. I don't think this process necessarily means we have to follow it per our ordinance. You know, it gives us a guideline, but we also know smaller organizations may not rank as high because they don't have grant writers, they don't have resources, they don't have those type of things. So I just want to be very clear. This process is a new process, but this process of getting ranked in choice doesn't mean we have to follow. I think what we voted on is for an outside entity to look at it, be a third party, but we would still make a decision not based on what they gave us, but be able to use that as a roadmap to be able to get to the final solution.
But we're basing it on what we know, which is inherently biased because you might know one organization, but might not know the same information about the other organization. Why I do believe in a methodology, even if I wasn't a part of it, because there's natural bias if you have worked with one and you haven't worked with. And that's essentially what we're doing by reordering them based on our personal.
But Alderwoman, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, 90%, we're taking the top 10 or 11 here, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So there's certainly a methodology being felt. So we put faith in the third party objective observer for 90% of these funds, and the rest, there is flexibility to have, you know, community leaders advocate outside of that methodology. But I feel fine putting my name knowing that 90% of it is based on those third parties ranking based on the application. And I think there's merit inherently in what the alderman from the 14th just said around resources committed to making an application and having us advocate for the balance, that 10% that maybe is not in the highest of rankings, is not something totally offensive, I think, in my mind.
I was to add to just, I think to respond to you, Alderwoman Keys, about saying you maybe prefer not to cut completely. It seems like we've kind of talked about the Big Brothers Big Sisters and YMCA as being two organizations that we know get big funding. So right now we're over budget by 43,000 and some change. So I divided that number that we were over budget into two, and that's 21,602.5. We could shave that amount from both item 1 and item 11, and then we haven't cut them completely, but we've come up with enough to fund in some way the top 12 requests, as well as Roosevelt, Employment Connections, and Communities First.
Or
right. I don't necessarily have a problem with any of that. And you know, many of these organizations I have, you know, either done work with or I'm familiar with. But you know, when I look at particularly North St. Louis, that, you know, is behind in everything. And to know of any organizations that are going above and beyond to do the work, to make up for what is not here and what is needed. And I don't know that I would necessarily call that bias as much as, what's the fair share here? What should some of these organizations that are, like I said, they're not big names, but they're working very hard to fill in gaps and to fill in for places where services should be. And like I said, I'm advocating for those organizations. Some people might say you're supporting the underdogs. And so I guess in some ways, yeah, I am supporting these underdog organizations. I wish that we could give a decent amount to all of these organizations because all of them are doing work. I'm not by any means saying that these organizations are not all working organizations that are making a difference for our city. But I think that we do need to take a look at the bias that North St. Louis continues to experience in terms of resources and help these organizations who are standing in the gap. Let's help them stand a little stronger.
Yeah, I agree, Alderwoman Keys. I think formulas, they may obviously have a point to not be biased, but they don't include some of the interpersonal elements, and we do know that sometimes formulas do have bias. On top of the fact that I think that just proposals like this and projects like this, usually if you're a larger organization, you have more staff, you're better suited to be able to do all of the process anyway. So I think you can do your best to set up as fair as you can, but it's still, at the end of the day, there's certain advantages and minuses. So I would just re-echo what I said, that right now we're about $43,205 over budget with everything we've discussed, and that's with the top 12 plus adding employment connections, Roosevelt High School, and Communities First. So what I'm saying is if we take that number and we divide it by 2, that would give us 21,602.5. And so if we were to cut 21,000 from item 1, they would still get over $50,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And then if we were to cut 21,000 from item 11, which is YMCA, they would still get more than half of their request as well. And then that would put us on budget, and we didn't completely cut anyone out.
Sounds like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I just want to make sure the math is mathing.
Yeah.
So I added up the top 10 that gets us the 864th. So 864.
That's 1 through 11.
1 through 11, and then with adding Roosevelt and Communities First, you get 976,730, which leaves $23,270 on the table. And Communities First is asking for 66.
So the way I did my math earlier in our meeting, we added all top 12, what all top 12 would be, and we said that would
top
be
11.
Did we do top 11?
It's 11.
Oh. Whichever one we did.
It is top 12 because again, there's that
A9. Okay. Yeah. So we added top 12, and that got us to 976,750. That line item included the top 12 plus the Roosevelt and communities plus Roosevelt and employment connections was where that number came from. But I will just do some quick corrections and redo the budget and say what the line items will be and just make it a little easier for us. 1 second.
I'm sorry, I just got an email from Alderwoman Shakneem Clark Hubbard, and I do want to make sure that I just basically, if I could just read this to you. It says, I've not been able to connect to the Zoom meeting, but I just got a text that you all were on Prop S funding, and I would like for the public to record or to advocate for number 17, Good Journey Foundation. I've spoken at length on several occasions publicly about the work they do. And again, I just received a text that you all were moving things around now. So, in that vein, if possible, I would like to advocate to fund them as well. I will keep trying to attempt to get on, but I am dealing with a family issue in the specific location that I cannot leave from at this time. Uh, be blessed, Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard, Power of 10.
Thank you for that, Alderwoman. Someone from the Slay Girls and Boys Club that wants to talk. Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, right now, while we're going through this, so that anyone who wants to, anyone additional from the public who wants to speak to us while we're going through these numbers, we can take public comment now. I know there's one person signed up in person here. Is there anyone online? All right. Robert Purcelli. How are you today?
Good afternoon.
And do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do.
All right. Could you just, yep.
Are we on? Yeah, we're on. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Robert Percelli, Executive Director of Jean Slay's Girls and Boys Club. Alderwoman Spencer suggested I come to this. We have a longstanding relationship with the city with Prop S funding. Mr. Pinckney was here, so I'm familiar with how the system works. I don't know where we ended up on the ranking. So as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking I want to advocate for the 900 children that we serve in Dutchtown and Gravois Park every year. But I really want to thank you all. This, how you are handling this round of funding compared to others, and I know you've brought that up, is remarkable, and it's also a remarkable job for you all. Am I hearing 33 agencies? Right. Yeah. So what a job, right? And as you've gone through the names, I know everybody. I know the executive directors of every. So our city is blessed to have such a tight network of service providers. I've been doing this work for almost 30 years, and again, I know these folks. So really, instead of me advocating for my organization, I want to thank you all. What a job you have. It's been very well thought out, and as I think, Brett, you said it, that you're kind of making this happen in real time because it's a new procedure, a new way of handling it. So thank you all, and I appreciate everything that you do for us. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's some of the best testimony I've ever heard. I respect your advocacy.
It is what it is.
So I guess the question for us committee members to consider, it looks like we now have 4 raised things to add in addition to, it looks like we've kind of agreed to fund top 10 in some method, and we're going to add these 4 organizations. I'm adding Good Journey that Alderwoman Clark Hubbard raised. And so I just want to clarify, have we come to an agreement that we do want to go with the method of adding the top 10 and figuring out how to fit in the...
We do have to also keep in mind the total number of contracts that we're giving out. So, I want to avoid being in a position where we say, oh, we'll just give everyone something, because that makes it a nightmare on the back end for Will's office. So he did ask us to try and keep it to 12, 15 total awardees, which kind of further complicates things.
When you say the top 10 though, Alderwoman, that goes from Big Brothers Big Sisters to Mission St. Louis?
Yes. And then
to story stitchers, because we have the 3 and 3A. So yeah.
So to story stitchers. I mean, it looks like we kind of first said top 12. It just sounds like, in my point, after Alderman Orion's commentary, that we maybe just need to identify someone to cut from this top 12 to fund these other things. If we can only have, I think he's saying that Mr. Pickney only wants 15 contracts maximum. He only wants us to select 15 contracts maximum.
Yeah, said that. Did. Yeah. I would love if we could include and keep included Mission St. Louis, honestly.
Yeah,
Liz?
I second that. So
Me too.
from Brett's original numbers to Gateway, which is, I think we get thrown off, which is really to 11 with the 3A, which is 12, gets us to
the top 12 puts us at 864,730,000.
Yeah, so Mission St. Louis is still in that 12.
Yeah.
We're stopping at Gateway, which gets us at 864,000.
And then,
how much is Good Journey?
well, so if we, let's see, so that puts us at 12.
That gives us $44,000.
And then 44 plus the 23 that we'll have left over. Split that between.
So that would put us at 16 organizations. Is that what you all have come up with then? If we include the top 12 plus the 4 that folks just mentioned, that total of 16 organizations would probably puts us at what, 70,000 something over?
I would say my suggestion to cut down on contracts again would be, I think maybe cut in YMCA, and if we're trying to add in Alderwoman, the Good Journey organization, then that way we maybe looking at if there's additional dollars needed, shaving some funding off of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Okay.
And if we cut Gateway, so with Gateway YMCA being in there, we had, and also for Roosevelt and Employment Connection, we have a fund balance left over of $23,270. And if we take that $23,270 and add the Gateway money, that would leave $67,386 that could be split in half for Communities First and the Journey one, which will get us at the million unless we shave off money from Big Brothers Big Sisters to either add more to that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Does. I also like the idea of, while we're following the methodology for the top 10, 11-ish, those who, maybe didn't rank as high, you're still getting some portion of it and not the full amount. I mean, I kind of like that, Alderman Aldridge.
And if we just shave off 10 from Big Brothers Big Sisters and give the other Gateway Journey, the one Alderwoman Shamim Clark talked about in Communities First, that would give them $38,693, and we'll be at the $1 million. So it's a little bit, it's close to the Gateway Journey, which is asking for 58, and for Employment Connections, I know they're asking for 66, so at least gets them a little over half than what they asked for, and we'll still be at the $1 million.
Well, let me say this. So I'm looking at um, 2 or 3 organizations that are really at the full ride of 100,000 per. Why not shave 10 grand off of those and fund the 2 organizations that we're talking about, Journey and Communities First?
So I think, and I'm not opposed. So
Oh no, I'm looking at. Wait a minute, I'm looking.
you're looking at 3 of them. So Better Believe in Youth. If you take that 100,000 and cut it to 90,000, the Village Path 90,000, and
Believe in Youth.
My 180 Youth Program, that'd be 30,000. That I think can be split in half to give both of those organizations 15.
3A. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that.
And you were saying that as opposed to cutting Gateway, correct, Alderwoman East?
Gateway Regional YMCA.
Were you saying that you preferred to shave funds away from those who are getting?
I would say those bigger organizations that have, the 6-figure proposal that they can afford to, let's shave off some and make the ones near the end, let's make them whole.
And then we're gonna have to go through we're gonna have to figure dollar amounts for each and make sure that it adds up to $1 million.
Yeah. See, I'm used to coming from a big family. You got to make sure everybody eats. And so coming from a family of 12 kids, you had to make that money work. And there's enough on the table here that I believe that with just the right amount of shuffling, everybody can be okay of the number that Mr. Pinckney is asking us for. I think that we can do this and give these organizations what they need, but you know what I'm saying, to make everybody be okay. And then they can naturally look for other sources. And it's going to be more easily done for these big organizations than it is for smaller organizations.
40. I think it's the easiest. My dream has come true. The chairman is gone. Well, not him being gone, but me chairing it now. But.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Rasheen, what were you proposing? What you just say?
I think I got it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, just work that math.
And Roosevelt. 5, 2, Okay, I think I got it.
All right. Okay, so let's hear what you got.
So from line item 1 through 11 originally, we had $864,730. If we shave off
11.
Yeah. Okay. If we shave off 11 for 44,000,
Now, when you say shave off 11, that's story stitches. Or
No,
you're not talking about
no,
getting rid of them
that
all
would,
We're talking
together.
about Gateway Regional YMCA, the Achievers Program.
Ah, okay.
so if we shave off that and take that money away, we're at 800,
20,614.
yes. And then,
You adding 52,000.
no, so before I did that, I minus that to $1 million to make sure how much money we would have with that amount. Because we got to stay at $1 million, we'll have $179,386 to be able to move around, right?
Right.
So and then from there, I took the 10 from Big Brothers. I took 10 from 3A, 10,000.
What's the line item for 3A?
3A is Believe in Youth.
Okay.
10 from the Village Path and 10 from the other one that's at 100, line item 7, which is 40,000, right?
Right, correct.
We take that 40,000 and add that will be a $219,386. And then what I did.
Did you take any? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So and then what I did is I plugged in Roosevelt and Employment Connection.
What was your fourth minus from 10?
The fourth minus was from the My 180 Youth Program, all the ones that had 100,000. So that got us to, added that 40,000 to that 179. We had 219,386,000 of money that we got to be able to use. That is the leftover from the $1 million. Then I added Roosevelt and I added Employment Connection. Adding those funds get us to $159,386.
Okay, so after you got to the 219, I'm there. You got 219,386 once you shaved all those top four. Then you added in Roosevelt. Is that? So you basically saying what's these?
So we had leftover money of 219, and I added Employment Connections, which was 60,000. And then I also decreased, that was a decrease, and then I also decreased 52,000 for Roosevelt, which left us with a total of 107,386. And I basically divided that into two, which gets us at 53,693. And those two amounts can go to Employment Connection and go to the Journey one, and we'll be at $1 million completely. Let me know if you want me to re-say all that again, because the chair's back.
I need to write this down so we can get a line item so that we can actually pass something that
Okay, so
item out.
the first thing he did, and Rasheen, I think this way I know I got you. You can correct me. He started off at the original line item that we have of 864,730, which we had clarified that was with the top 12 or 11 all the way up to my mission being funded. And then he took, he then added in, he subtracted line item 11 completely, the Gateway YMCA regional. And so if you have 864,730 and you subtract line item 11, 44,116, that puts you at 820,614.
Yes, and if you take that 820,614 minus $1 million, because we gotta get to $1 million, we will have $179,386 left over.
So he's saying that's how much money we got left to play with as a result of cutting off line item 11. But then to Alderwoman Key's point, he said, okay, well, in these top 10, I'm going to take 10,000 away from the items that are fully funded.
And not all fully funded because of Big
or
Brothers.
Close to it.
Yeah, Big Brothers, we took 10.
So he took 10,000 from line item 1.
Okay, so line item 1.
minus 10.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is $65,000.
Yep. And then the next one on his list was Believe STL Academy. So they would now be 88,000.
No, they'll get 90,000.
So
Oh, okay.
Believe STL Academy gets
No. Believe It Youth, the one that.
Believe It Youth gets 90.
Yes, I took 10 from that because I got 100. So they get 90,000. Took 10 from the Village
Line item 4.
Path.
The
Line
Village
item-
Path.
Village Path gets 90.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then line item 7 get 90.
Gets 90.
And basically get easier from here. We fund the Employment Connection at the full amount, what they asked for.
He's still right. I think you should give him a.
Oh.
Okay. So for line items,
I-180, wait,
for line items, you should have crossed out line item 11 completely, and then you should have you should have changed the Big Brother line item,
so I have Big Brothers, Big Sisters,
Mm-hmm.
65,000. Believe It Youth, 90,000.
Mm-hmm.
Village Path,
90,000.
1,000.
And then my 180 is 90,000 now.
180, okay, 90,000. And are the others,
And then we just gonna move up.
remain
Roosevelt and Employment Connection remains the same.
95?
So then, line 20, you're gonna add for line items, Chair Narayan, line 27, you're gonna add that. That's
Hold on for 1 second here.
Okay.
46, 659.
Do you have a pen?
So St. Louis Story Stitchers got the
Stay in.
still the same.
okay, 80, 185. Then Mission St. Louis.
Still the same. Okay.
I'm gonna make it easy for you, bro.
I think he got to submit a line item when he tell him what we funded, so he just trying to give himself a rough draft of that now, I think.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Exactly. Then
Okay, so-
Gateway YMCA.
No, we cut them. So they'll be 0 now. You can write them down, but put them at 0.
Then
And then he's saying he added line item 27, that's Roosevelt, and they have a $52,000 request.
27, Roosevelt.
And then he also add Employment Connection, which is 22.
uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
No, Employment Connection, 60.
No, it's line item 22. He needs the line items. So Employment Connections is line item 22, and they have 60,000, so he added that.
Connection, and you said
They have 60,000.
60. Okay. So
Also, if you want to write it all out, you can, but I just checked off what we kept in the amount.
Okay.
and then
So those are the fully funded ones, and then Rasheen, we still have Communities First and Good Journey.
Yes, and they both get
communities.
Community First and
Communities First is line item 30.
All right, and
Good
what do
Journey is
we get them?
53,693,
3,693.
and then Good Journeys is 17 for 53,690.
What line items?
17.
And that was that same dollar amount that.
53,000, because we just split what was left in half, basically. So now you just need to make sure all of that
I'm gonna make sure this math
equals.
maths.
Yes.
I'm gonna do some behind you on behind the math to the math. And they said I was never good in math class.
Can we read them? I know you all are, well.
All right, we're right on the money.
Me too. I got the same thing.
Can we have a request from our financial analyst before we're going to the financial vote, can we just read them aloud
Yes,
once
yes.
so he can,
That's why I'm right.
I know you're mathing, but he'll do it in his spreadsheet in math.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. This is gonna be
triple check the maths. It looks like Isaiah's triple checked the maths.
okay. So
Yes,
we got. Sure, we got.
Oh, he does get in his packet. Just,
I have it all right in front of me.
oh,
Right
that too.
Because we're gonna have to pass this out as an exhibit from public safety, because this will become Exhibit A of Resolution 90, which was filed this week.
He listening right now? Oh, he's listening, so he'll type as you talk.
Oh, he's listening right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I was.
He
waiting.
ran back to his computer to get
Okay,
on the spreadsheet.
So we have Big Brothers Big Sisters, $65,000. Throwing and Growing Foundation, $85,095. Believe STL Academy, $98,000. Believe It Youth, $90,000. The Village Path, $90,000. 22nd Judicial Court, $12,930. LifeWise STL, $46,659. My 180 Youth Program, $90,000. Pianos for People, $50,000. St. Louis Story Stitchers, $82,185. Mission St. Louis, $70,745. Roosevelt, $52,000. Employment Connection, $60,000. Communities First, $53,693. And Good Journeys, $53,693.
Want to make that motion?
So, does anyone? I know it adds up to $1 million. Does anyone have anything to say before I make a motion that we pass this out to the Public Safety Committee to then pass it out to?
Ryan says we're $29 over.
We're $29 over.
That's not how I got it.
Okay, we're gonna do some math again.
I'm just the math messenger.
I got $1 million.
Yeah, how do we all get to $1 million and Ryan's got
Maybe he didn't.
$29?
Oh, he said maybe he misheard.
Yes.
Okay, apparently Ryan, you misheard.
Okay. Well, if worst case scenario, I'll give someone $29.
Put it all into the spreadsheet.
When you make your motion, I will $29 second it.
I'm not sure.
Give someone $29 to not have to do this math anymore.
You know Ryan doing it, Alicia.
He probably did it in his head.
So, does anyone have anything to say on these before we pass them out of the subcommittee? All right. Well, with that, I move that we move the aforementioned amounts to the Public Safety Committee for further consideration.
Second,
So move or
he moved.
I didn't get to 29th it?
So I moved, Alderwoman Saunier seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Saunier.
Aye.
Alderman Aldrich.
pass.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderman Aldrich.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes.
All right, with that, we have sustained the motion and sent this list to public safety, and we can adjourn the subcommittee, and we will take back up the public safety meeting that was happening, I guess, this whole time. So with that, I will adjourn the subcommittee and call the Public Safety Committee back into order. So Public Safety Committee is back in order now. So now in front of us with the, we have agenda item number 2 with the Public Safety Committee, the Prop S funding. The Prop S subcommittee works to get a list, and we have that list in front of us now. And does anyone have anything further to say now that this list is in committee? Madam Clerk, is there any testimony regarding this?
I have none.
Is there anyone here to speak in public safety as opposed to the public safety, the Prop S subcommittee?
I have no one to sign up.
All right. So I will move that we pass out of the Public Safety Committee Exhibit A of what will be Exhibit A on Resolution number 90, which will fund the Prop S organizations at the dollar amounts that were agreed upon in the Prop S subcommittee.
So move.
Second.
All right, so I moved it and Velasquez seconded it. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Alderman Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. We have 6 aye votes.
All right, with that, we have passed out these dollar amounts, and we will take them up in Resolution 90 tomorrow, which I'm going to be requesting unanimous consent on so that we can get these funds to these entities as soon as possible. Does anyone have any announcements? All right, I move that we excuse Alderwoman Clark Hubbard for necessary absence.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
We stand adjourned.